In today's video, you're going to learn about all the best practices to cut out backgrounds on Photoshop. So we're going to work with 4 different images with different challenges. So the first image we'll work with is a simple one of a guy just standing out and looking out at a lake. So we're just going to cut out the background and we'll be left with just the subject. The second one is a bit more complex. It's got some hair blowing in the background and also some grass beneath his feet. And the third one is also a bit more complex. We've got some detailed hair right here, and hair has always been quite hard to crop out on Photoshop. But I'm going to show you a new tool which makes it a lot easier. And the fourth one, which is the most complex, it is a tree. So we're going to cut out this tree and we're going to leave out the grass and also the sky. And even though this is a really complex image with all of these little complex shapes and little holes, I'm going to show you a little trick you can do to cut this out accurately. So let's get started with the first image. So if you want to follow along with this tutorial, all the links to this images are in the description below. So let's right click and copy this image. And I'm going to go into Photoshop and click on Create New. So Photoshop will automatically pick up the width and the height of the image. I'm just going to change the resolution to 300 pixels per inch. So if you're actually planning to print out the image, then 300 pixels per inch is the best quality. But if you just want to use it for a website, then 72 pixels per inch is the best quality. So let's click on Create. And I'm going to press Ctrl V or Command V to paste the image. You can also just go Edit and click on Paste. So this is quite simple to do. So back in the days, we used to use the pen tool. So we would click on the pen tool and then we would zoom in as far as we could to get the most accurate crop out of this image. So we would click here, then we would click all the way around until we have a cutout of this image. But this is a real tedious task and it always takes a long time to use the pen tool and to go all the way around. But now there's this new tool. So if you just click on the layer right here, so if you don't see the layers panel, just go to Windows and click on layers right here. And make sure you click on the image layer. So I'm just going to name this image. To rename the layer, you just double click on it and you just type in the name of the layer. And then go into Edit. Select. And then click on Subject. So Photoshop's going to automatically just look through this image and it's going to pick out what is the subject. So it's like an AI that actually looks for the subject of the image. So you can see right here, it just picked up the subject of the image. So if you just click on mask right here, it's going to get rid of the background and it's going to keep what's selected. So right now the subject is selected. So I'm going to click on mask and there it is. So we just left with the white background. But as you can see, we've got, it's not really that accurate. So what we can do here is we can just use the mask tool. So the background isn't really deleted, it's just hidden. So what I usually do is I create a new layer or a copy of the image layer, and I would delete the layer mask box. So there's this extra box right next to the image. So just right click on that and click on delete layer mask. So now everything comes back to normal. But what you can do is just click on the bottom layer and reduce the opacity right here. So you can just reduce the opacity all the way down. So we can see what we need to get back and what we need to delete. So we need to delete this little yellow part right here. We also need to reveal some of these parts right here. So we can do that by clicking right here on the layer mask box. So that's the layer mask box above the image layer. Go into the brush tool and we're going to choose a white color. So the white color reveals and the black color hides. So we're going to reveal this part right here. So I'm just going to simply just draw over it. So there we go. That's a part of the shoe that's got revealed. And I want to hide this part right here. So we're going to choose a black color and we're going to hide this. So we're not erasing it, we're simply just hiding it. And if we make a mistake, we can simply just choose the white color and we can get that back. So let's also hide this yellow part right here. So I think that looks good. So let's just zoom out and see what all of this looks like. So his hand, yep, that looks good. So I think that's a good crop out. So now to hide this transparent background, just hide this, click on this little eye icon and that just gets rid of it. So that's simple as that. That's just a simple way to crop out a simple background. So next, let's get into the more complex one, which is the boy running through a park. So let's right click and copy this image, and let's go into Photoshop, click on File, New, and just like before, we're going to change the resolution to 300, and let's paste in the image. So for this one, I'm going to use a different tool. So choose the layer. So let's rename this again to image. So choose the image layer, go into select, and instead of select subject, we're going to go into select and mask. So that brings up this new tool on some of the latest versions of Photoshop. So this is a really useful tool to crop out backgrounds, to crop out hair, and all types of other things. So choose this tool right here, the quick selection tool, and you'll notice two options right here, select subject and refine hair. So first, let's select the subject. So Photoshop's going to look through this image and it's going to select the subject. And you can see how accurate the hair is selected. So you can see it's kind of selected the hair here, the hair there. So that's a really good crop out right here. So we need to, so I think we need to do some refining around here. That's something we need to adjust later on. Let's also scroll down. And it looks like it's kind of picked up the grass, but it's also kind of hidden parts of the shoes right here. So that's something we need to work on here as well. So if you click on the quick selection tool, there's two options right here. There's add, so we can add parts of the original image, and there's delete, so we can delete parts of the original image. Not really delete, we can hide it. So let's add parts of the original image. So watch what happens here. So when I click on it, it just revealed a part of the shoe, and there's still more parts of the shoes that need to be revealed. So I'm going to click on it again, maybe again, and maybe around here. So maybe I want to keep the grass just below his feet because it's kind of gone into the grass. So I'm just going to click around here, and so that looks pretty good. And maybe around here as well. And let's zoom out and see what this looks like. Yep, so I think that looks pretty good there. Next, there's another thing you could do. So there's this view right here. So automatically it should be on the onion skin view right here. You can also choose black and white. So again, just like before, the black black hides and the white reveals it. So right now the subject is in white, so it's revealed. And then so choose that view and then come down here. So where it says global refinement. So there's smooth, there's feather, there's contrast. So let's say you want to make these edges a little bit more sharper, a little bit more softer. So you can make it a bit more smoother. So you can see it gets a bit more smooth right here. You can also make it a bit more feathery. So that's a bit too much. So I don't want the edges to be blurry. So I'm going to keep that at 0. So also don't want it to be too smooth around the corners, so I want to keep that at 0 as well. So let's say you want these edges to be a little bit more sharper, so the contrast, you can actually increase that. So you can see it increases the contrast and makes it a bit more sharper. So let's keep it just around there. And shift edge, so if you just kind of makes the edges stand out a little bit more. So let's just scroll down here. So we can play with the grasses later on. I'll show you what to do that soon. So you can kind of play around with just getting the exact selection that you want using this select mask tool. So this is what I usually use now. If it's just a simple image like before, what we had here for the other subject, I just use the normal select subject tool. So this one that we're using is select and then select mask. So after you're done, just click on OK. And now you can see it just made a selection around the boy, so around the subject. But we do need to make some adjustments right here. So just like before, I'm going to click on the masking tool and the background is gone. So what can we do with this grass right here? So it just looks like, random little patch right here. So what I can do is select the masking tool, and I'm going to choose a smaller brush. So it should be a little bit smaller than that, so maybe about that size. And I'm going to choose a white color to reveal. And I'm just going to kind of draw some grass into it. So that just kind of makes it look like the grass is kind of going over and under his shoes. So this is optional if you want to do this. This is, I'm being a little bit more picky here. But this is kind of optional if you want to do this. And then you can kind of create a different size brush as well and kind of create a bit more, so kind of a bit more, grassy effect because not all grasses are the same thickness. So let's do it just a little bit more here. And let's see what that looks like now. So I think that looks a bit better. And if you want to, I'm still being a bit more picky, but if you really wanted to make this look a little bit better, you can kind of draw like a box here, maybe about up to there. And I can just reveal kind of like a box at the bottom. And then the rest at the top can be like a grass. So that's just the selection tool that I used right here. So I used the selection tool and then I just kind of revealed a box. So let's zoom out. So I think that looks much better now. So that's how you crop out a bit more of a complex subject with a complex background. So let's go into the next image now. So this one is really easy to do. So this used to be a lot harder, but this used to be a lot harder to crop out hair like this. But now just click on right click, copy this image, and let's go File, New, and let's leave this at 300 pixels per inch. And let's paste in the image. So just like before, I'm going to rename the image first to image, and let's go into select and mask. And just like before, we're going to click on the quick selection tool and then click on select subject. And watch what happens. It's that easy and it's that simple. It just selected the hair. Now there's another tool right here called refine hair. So this doesn't work all of the time, but it just, watch what happens. So it's going to look through the hair and it's going to cut out the background a little bit more. But I actually liked what it was before. So it didn't fully cut out the background. You can see the dark spots are here, still there. So it's really up to you for the different types of images you use. It's going to give you different results. So it's like another AI that actually figures out what is the hair in this image, and it's going to cut that out. So sometimes it's actually, picked up different parts of the image as hair. Sometimes if someone's wearing like a fur coat, it might think that's hair and it kind of crops that out accidentally. So it's not the most intelligent thing yet. So you have to do some manual adjustment. So with this, let's again, it's on the onion skin automatically. So let's click on black and white. And just like before, we can increase the contrast a little bit more. So I think that looks quite good there already. We can increase the feather, also smoothen it out a little bit more. So I think it actually looks good as it is. So I actually like it as it is right there. You can also change up the radius and stuff a little bit more, but I think that's too much. And you can play around with all of these different settings. It really depends on all the type of image that you're using. So let's click on OK. And now we've got a selection of the hair. So now we just click on the masking tool and it's going to hide the background. So just give it like a black background. Usually I just put it on a black background to check how well it's cropped out the background. And as you can see, it looks really good. And we can try out different colors to see which colors stand out more and all of that. So it really depends on what kind of background that you're trying to put it on. So that looks good. So lastly, we have this very complex image right here with all of these complex shapes, and we're going to cut out the backgrounds from all of these little holes right here. So I'm going to show you why the select and mask tool won't work on this. So let's right click and copy this image. Let's go back into Photoshop and go File, New. And just like before, I'm going to turn this into 300 resolutions per inch. But you should keep it at 72 if you're planning to use it for websites. And then let's paste the image. And let's just use the select and mask tool, but it won't work. So I just want to show you a quick example. So let's click on select and mask and click on select subject. And you can see right here, when I zoom in, it's selected parts of the background. It can't really figure out what the actual subject is. So it's an AI that's not really that intelligent enough yet. So it can't really select images. Let's also just try refine hair as well. Even though this isn't really hair, let's just try refine hair on this image. And that also didn't work. Sometimes it works on trees as well, the refine hair tool. So I'm going to click on OK. And you can see we've got the selection now. And let's click on mask to hide the background. And you can see this is what it looks like. Let's put it on a black background. And this is what it looks like. So that's obviously not a good cutout. So what we can do is we can still use this image right here. So just like before, just go through this process of just going into the select and masking tool, selecting the subject, and it's going to give you a simple cutout just like this. And we're going to use this and then another tool called threshold. So let's rename this to image, this layer to image, and let's rename this to black background, so black BG. And I'm going to choose the image layer, and I'm going to press and hold Control or Command if you're in a Mac. So press and hold Command. I'm going to click on the masking layer box. So that's the layer mask box. So what that does is it just selects everything within that layer, which is the selection that we made through the select and mask tool. So then click on the image box of the image layer. So that's this box right here. And then click on copy. So we're going to go edit, copy. You can also press Control C or Command C if you're in a Mac. And then press Control C or Command C to paste the image. So now we just have this image copied, just a random image of the cutout. So let's hide the original image layer, and we're just left with this copy image of the layer. So I'm just going to name it copied layer or copied image. And I want 2 copies of this layer. So to create another extra copy, just drag and drop this into the new layer icon right here. That's next to the bin icon. So we got 2 right here. So choose the copied layer, then go to image, adjustment, threshold. So what the threshold tool does is it just turns the image into a black and white image. So there won't be any gray and there won't be any color. It's just black and white. And you can play around with this tool right here to make it more black if you make it go to the right, and you can make it more white if you make it go to the left. So I'm just going to leave it right about in the middle here and then click on OK. So now we have this black and white image. So through this, we can actually select the tree with the background cutouts, because you can see right here, the white is all the background. So we can use that to select it. So how do you select everything that's black within this image? So choose the magic wand tool right here. So if you click and hold right here, there'll be 3 options: quick selection tool, object selection tool, but choose the magic wand tool. And make sure that contagious is turned off. So this should be turned off. So what this does is, if you click on a black color, it just selects everything that's black within that layer. If I choose the white color, it just chooses everything that's white within that layer. And you can do that with any color. So let's click on the black color, and now we have the selection of the tree. So now we can hide the copied layer, and you can see now we have an accurate selection of the tree. So choose the copied layer right here, and then we're going to choose mask background. So now we have a nice cutout background, but you can still see the edges are quite bad here and there. So what can you do about that? So there's a few options right here, depending on the type of image that you have. So this one's really complex. So there's a lot of adjustments that we have to do. So there's this panel right here called properties. So if you don't see this properties panel, go to Windows and click on properties right here. So choose the layer mask box right here, and we can actually feather the edges. So if you just slightly move this just a little bit, let's see what happens. So you can see, so that's not really helping, that's actually making it a little bit worse. So let's push that back. So you need to check what really works and what doesn't work. Let's also move this a little bit further. No, that doesn't work either. So now let's go back to the bit more advanced stuff. So refine. So let's click on select and mask. And let's try contrasting this a bit more. So it looks like that doesn't really work either. So really depends on the image that you work with. Sometimes this would work on some of the less complex tree images, but it looks like this just isn't working either. So I'm going to cancel all of that. So now there's one more option we can do. So this one's a bit more manual. It's not as automatic as the select and mask tool. So we're going to press and hold Control again, and we're going to click on the layer mask box of the copied image. So now we have the selection of the tree. So next go into select and then click on inverse. So the inverse selection just inversed the selection. So before we had this tree selected, but we inversed it. So everything is selected except for the tree. So the tree right now is not selected. So what I'm looking for is these little white edges to be selected. So you can see right now, those little white edges are not selected. So to select those little white edges, I think I need to reduce this selection by 1 pixel. So you can see this one little pixel right here. So to do that, go into select, modify, and then click on expand. So we're gonna, depending on the type of image you're using, you're either gonna expand the selection or contract the selection. So you can also just go select, modify, and you can click on contract or expand. So you need to experiment with either one of these. Let's just try expand, and I'm gonna choose 1 pixel. For you, might be 2 pixels, depending on the image. So let's click on OK. And now you can see these little white edges are kind of unselected now. So next, go back to the brush tool, and we're going to choose a black brush to hide, and you can just simply hide these little white edges. So let's hide these little bits here, and you can kind of zoom out, and I'm just going to hide it on maybe just this section right here. So let's make the brush a little bit bigger so you can maybe hide it. Let's make it a little bit more bigger. And let's deselect this, and let's just see what this area looks like. So let's press Ctrl D, and you can see that looks a lot better now. So let's zoom out. So that's much better. So I'm gonna press Ctrl Z to get that selection back, and I'm just gonna rub out all the edges now on all of these little edges right here. So maybe you just want to rub out the edges around the top, not the middle, and let's just see what that looks like. So that looks much better now. So now we have like an accurate selection of the background, an accurate selection of the tree. So this is much more complex. It's a lot harder to do this with an image like this, and it'll be so much easier with maybe just a simple tree image, maybe like this one right here. So this one will be a lot easier. Maybe something like this would also be quite easy, and also something like this will also be quite easy because it's got some really sharp edges here and there as well. So go out and try these methods. These are the methods I use to cut out backgrounds of trees, of hair, of people walking and things like that. And if you have any questions, comment down below. With any type of video requests that you have, I'm planning to make videos on Adobe Illustrator, After Effects, also some 3D modeling tutorials using free tools like Blender. And if you make sure you stay subscribed and also hit that notification bell so you'll be notified when I upload those videos. And also make sure you hit that like button. It really helps this channel grow, and I'll see you in the next video.